Alright guys, well, back at her again. This is that Isx Cummins that I was talking about on the last video. I finally got all the parts in, I think. I've got to wipe this lens off on this camera. There, that's better. Anyways, I got to get this pump the rest of the way out of here. Kind of got a lot of things here interfering. I think if I can get this filler neck off, I'll probably get it on out of there. I think that's what I'll do. I'll unbolt that filler neck and then I can come on out with it. Somebody's feeling their oats this morning. She does this, poor old dude. What, did she drag your brand new collar off of you? Let me go find your collar. Let me go find his collar. She will take his collar off. Okay. Alright, let's get this pump out of here. I got that filler neck off. Okay. Pump head. I'll show you the ceramic plungers. Okay, here's your, I know it's, the sun's still coming up and it's just dark. But I don't know if the camera, see the white in there? I don't know if you can see that white. Those are ceramic plungers. So anyway, I gotta dig out the new ones. They should be this. Find a place to put all the lights so I can see what the hell I'm doing here. I found Duke's collar. This should be all the rocker rollers and head bolts. There's the head gasket kit, there's the cam. Then I've got another front gasket cover and front seal for a cm850 that's coming in tomorrow. Okay, let's see what we got here. Get the old pocket knife out. I had some unique problems here lately, you know, with troubleshooting, which I actually enjoy. I don't really enjoy this kind of stuff as much as I used to. I like the troubleshooting stuff, hydraulics, electrical. Anyway, I was over to the ranch yesterday working on, they had a John Deere Gator. But the other day I'd troubleshooted, it was one of those with a little diesel Kubota in it. Well, it wouldn't run. And I found that the elbow coming into the filter head had it was pressed in. Well, it was loose and it was sucking air there. So I got a new filter head for it. That's a rocker. Okay. That's a rocker roller there. Okay, I thought those were in that other box. So that's not what I'm looking for. This is, what do we got here? Does it tell you what it is? B&P service kit? I think this is it. But yeah, this is it right here. Anyway, I was out there working on that and he said, hey, can you look at our service truck? So it was a 2000 F350 with a 7.3 Power Stroke in it. And he goes, why, what's going on? A little more story to this. Okay, so initially I looked at this pickup, right? And the windshield wipers didn't work on it. And the previous mechanic that used to do all their work, he had changed all kinds of parts on it. I mean, he put new wiper motor on it, new relays, new multifunction switch, and he said, I don't know what's wrong with it. And he kind of threw his hands up. So he asked me, Guillermo said, can you look at that and see if you can get the wipers working? I said, sure. So I go over there and I plug my laptop in it, and I know from experience, I used to work on a lot of Fords, and the thing with Fords is everything on the interior, like your power door locks, all that stuff inside, if you had power windows, windshield wipers, all that stuff works off what they call the GEM module. That's called a generic electronic module. And on those old Power Strokes, they bolt to the back of the fuse panel. So under the dash, there on the left-hand side of the column. So I couldn't communicate with it, and I popped the fuse panel out, and I saw the circuit board was burnt. So I came over here, and I had a wrecked pickup that was a 2000, but the difference was this wrecked pickup back here had a manual transmission, and the other one had an automatic. Well, the part numbers were just a little bit different, 2 digits on the last 2 letters different. And I thought, well, shit, you know, let's try it. So I went over there and plugged it in, and shit, the wipers came right on. But the problem was, every time I went to intermittent, it'd stall and kill the engine. I'm not kidding you, it'd kill the engine. Only on intermittent. If you went to regular and high speed, it'd run all day long. But as soon as you went back to the 3rd notch, you know, the highest intermittent speed, it'd kill it. I mean, I screwed around with that thing for 3 or 4 hours, testing this and testing that, and I mean, I had the windshield wiper motor out of it and testing the power to it, and I could unplug the windshield wiper motor and turn it on intermittent, and you could hear the relays clicking, but it never would stall. It'd just keep running. So I thought, man, there must be something in that wiper motor that guy put on there. It's back feeding. So I went over here and I got this one out of this one. I put it in there and it did the same thing. I thought, well, what the hell is going on with this thing? It wasn't throwing any codes. Well, I got lucky. I just happened to, when I was messing with it and I ran the switch, because what would happen when you turn it on intermittent, the wiper would get about halfway up and then the engine would just blip, like you shut the key off. And when I noticed that every time that I clicked, now if I clicked it to intermittent, it went back to off fast enough, I could keep it running. It's only when it actuated the wiper and it got about halfway up, it'd kill the engine. On intermittent only. So I'm noticing this, when I'm turning the switch on, the multifunction switch on and off to intermittent, I watched the tack needle bounce just a little bit, and I thought, what the hell's going on with that? That shouldn't be doing that. So I got underneath that service truck, and somebody had replaced that crankshaft speed sensor. And I noticed it was brand new looking. It was real new looking. So I always keep one of those, and I always keep a Ford one. The Napa ones and the Auto, don't, if you got a 7.3 Power Stroke, don't. That's the one thing I can say. Crankshaft speed sensors, buy the Ford ones. So anyway, I put the Ford one in there, stuck it in there, turned the wipers on intermittent, runs all day long. It works just fine now. So if you ever run into that on a 2099, like 03, with a 7.3 Power Stroke, I can't stress enough, put the OEM crankshaft speed sensor in it. And another thing that I can say about that is I used to put those sensors in when we had a bunch of those. We had a bunch of those pickups, and I remember some of those Napa ones. We'd buy them, and that you can get the pickup. I mean, brand new crankshaft speed sensor right out of the box from Napa, and you can get some of the bitch even start. Then you go get a Ford one, stick it in there, and fire right up. So I don't know if there's some kind of suppressor in that crankshaft speed sensor that lets current go one way, or what would why would the wiper circuit interfere with the crankshaft or engine speed circuit or engine position circuit? Why? I don't get that. I haven't taken the time. I'm sure if I got into the wiring schematics and really started looking at it, I'd probably go, oh, that's what it's doing. But I haven't had time. So anyways, there it is. So here, back to this. Here is our updated plungers. Okay, they're not ceramic. Let's put the cap back on. We want to keep this as clean as humanly possible. Alright, so what do we got here? We should have the other one. That's the other one right there. Hopefully there's a pump gasket in here. If not, I'm going to have to skin Tom. Skin him alive. These are all head bolts here, but I'm not seeing my pump gasket. I might have to kick him in the balls. Okay, these are all the short head bolts. And then the long ones are in boxes. There's 4 of those long ones. I don't see an actual pump gasket. Well, I'm gonna dig through all this. These are the long head bolts right here. These are, should be one more long head bolt somewhere, but what is this here? That's a rocker. So these are all the rockers in here. Well, I gotta find this pump gasket so I can replace it. Take an 1 3/8 to get them loose. And there should be, there's your ceramic plunger right there. There should be a sealing washer and it's stuck to the end of it, so I just take an 1 3/8, and then my cheater here, we gotta torque them when we put it back in. We gotta torque them though. Pretty tight. Man, this light is like glaring in my eye. Plunger's trying to fall out of there, and that sealing washer is stuck to the bottom. All right, okay, I got to clean this up now. I want to make sure there's not a bunch of stuff down. I'm going to turn this one off, and I'm kind of looking for my little light. What do I do with that? Make sure there's not anything that looks really clean in there, so we'll leave that alone for now. Let's get the new ones out. With the installation instructions. Okay, and their little sealing washer is actually going to go right down in this little recess in the end of it. Get the little sealing washer out of the plastic Ziploc bag here. I don't remember if these stayed in or not. I think I took a little bit of trans gel, and hang on a minute. I just took a little bit of trans gel and put it right in this recess. One thing, it'll keep the plunger from sliding out on you, and it'll hold the sealing washer in. And then you can thread it back in there. Pretty straightforward thing. Get the end of my wrench, make sure it's clean, so I'm not getting shit down in there. Okay, see here what the torque says on this little paper they send with the tap a guide pin, blah blah blah. Torque plus angle is critical. Am I wrong? It's Am I, let me, oh, hang on a second. I'm gonna look this up. Look how they spelled angle on the, look how they spelled angle on the paper here. A-N-G-E-L. I'm thinking, what? I've always spelled angle A-N-G-L-E. Okay. Anyway, required torque is 60 foot-pounds plus 60 degrees. Okay, do not use impact drivers. Well, obviously, yeah, you wouldn't want to do that on a critical pump component. You wouldn't want to use an impact driver. I don't think you want to take your big socket on your impact wrench and rattle it down. But let me find a 1 3/8" socket, and then I got to go 60 foot-pounds plus 60 degrees. Okay, these front seals can be kind of a bear to get them out of here. Not kidding you. So what you go, see all these Phillips head screws? So you got this guide and a long drill bit. Here's the guide. You stick the guide in the hole. You got a long drill bit, about that long, and then you drill each hole. Then you put the screws in, which is not very easy, to be honest with you. Not for me, anyway. And then you got these 2 Allen heads. And I'll show you what I got going on here in a minute. I'm trying to catch this side up with that side. Okay. It appears to be coming out. I'm trying to see over here on this side. It doesn't appear to be coming out. No, it's pulling it away from the screws on this side. It's not coming out. I think, what should I do here? Should I just keep going on this side? Will that loosen it up over there, maybe? I don't know. They're a pain in the ass to get them out. They really are, guys. Not kidding you. I mean, you can put all these screws in here and it'll just pull them right through, just like it's doing. So we're just going to try to keep going here. Yeah, it's just pulling them all out. Good grief, they're just a really big pain in the ass to get them out. They really are. Yeah, it's just gonna pull them all out of there. Yep. It started to come out, but man, they can be a major pain in the ass getting these out. Yep. They're just all gonna come right out of there. And I'll show you why I had those little pieces of angle iron in there. Because if you drill all your holes, and I'll tell you what, if you don't get them, if you don't think ahead, which I did not think ahead on this one because it's been a while since I had to do one of these, if you don't caulk it right to drill your holes, then your Allen heads will end up right in one of the crankshaft bolt holes. So I had to slip these little pieces of angle iron in there to keep from screwing up my threads there. So anyway, yeah, it's just pain in the ass. But so I gotta, yeah, I gotta fight it until I get it. Now I gotta drill them maybe in the middle out here, put my guide back on there and do it again and see if I can get it to pull. It started to come here on this one. But man, these sumbitches are in there. They are in there tight, man. Really tight. So, well, I had to go do a forced regen on a 6105M John Deere for a strawberry nursery. So now I'm back. I got that old seal out. I finally just took a chisel and whacked it a couple times and got a bar in there and popped it out of there. So that seemed to work out pretty good. So here's the new seal. Let's see, let's go ahead and slide her on over the old crankshaft there. Get her snubbed on the crankshaft. And then I got the seal installer right here. Slide it on over. I'm trying to remember exactly. Just like that. And then there's Josie. Good looking Josie. We'll get this front seal installed and then I don't know, there's a bunch of spacers and stuff with this thing, and I just use them all because of, maybe I'm not doing that right or not, I don't know, I just use them all to not have to put the nuts and crank them down as far. Then stick a washer on that one, stick a washer there. Be a 15/16, and then start pulling it in. Definitely say on the front seals on these Isx's, this is almost a must-have tool. And the snout of the crank is so long, and you've got so far to push it on, you almost got to have the tool. Then you just kind of start sucking it in evenly. Did I grab the right size? I don't believe I did. I think it's 7/8. And I don't know where my 7/8 gear wrench is at. It'd be kind of nice to have that. You just kind of go around it and suck it in evenly. You know, basically the tool will bottom out once you get down there far enough. And I just try to go evenly, try to go a full turn. Actually, I went 2 turns on that one, but turn there, and just, it's a long process, but and then we'll go feed the puppy dog some lunch and eat me some lunch, and then we'll come back and I start putting the head on her. I got a little more prep work on the block deck surface to finish up doing, and then I think maybe I'll be ready for cylinder head installation, and then the good old working the head down. Fun times. Kind of waiting for hopefully UPS would show up with my shim kit for my Challenger today. I was kind of hoping. You know what? I think you're supposed to take those. I think some of those shims go on the inside. Now that I remember, and they bottom out. That's exactly right. So now I remember. So once we push this in, I'll have to pull this tool back off. Because these go on the inside of the stud, and that's what pushes the seal the right depth. I forgot about that. I used to have the directions for the tool, but I don't remember what happened to them. So I think actually the longer ones go in there. Yeah, you want to get the seal pushed in the right depth. Kind of screwed up there a little bit. One spacer is a little bit taller, and I think that taller one goes on the inside if I remember right. And then what happens is it just slides over the studs, and you pull the tool back over the studs that are bolted to the crank, and then when you're sucking it in, that'll come up against that. And bottom out. That way you're not pushing the seal in too far. I done forgotted. And then another thing it does, it makes sure that it's evenly in the bore too. So let's see. I'm just kind of eyeballing and judging this. I'm pretty certain that the square looking ones are going to go in here. Now, I don't remember if the washers, I don't remember, to be honest with you. I guess I should have looked at, I lost the directions for this tool a long time ago. I'm just looking at the distance there, and once I get it sucked in, I think we're going to be just about right. So now you can slide these in here. And then there's just a lot of threading to do here to get them back on there. I kind of wish they would have made some longer spacers for the studs here on the outside, which I guess a guy could take some machine tubing and cut some machine tubing to go over these studs, and that way you're not doing this, wasting a half an hour threading them on there. We'll just kind of eyeball it and see if we're coming up against that. And I mean, this should be about, when we're right, we should be about flush. Okay. I'm having trouble getting my turn on this one because yeah, we're going to be pretty close. Come on. And bottomed out right there. See, if you didn't have those spacers, you'd go too far if you just cranked it in, because most seal installers actually will have a shoulder on the actual tool that'll come up against the nose of the crank that'll stop it. But this one here, I think this is, you know, because I use this tool here on the cm870s, the 871s, so maybe it's just a universal thing, I don't know what, but this is a Cummins tool. I got this from Cummins. So now what I can do is save myself a little bit of time, is just unthread the whole thing. And these are long-winded too. Huh. That one there tighter than I thought. Like I say, on this engine, this tool's almost paramount to have it. I mean, you could get it on there, but I don't know. It'd be a tough deal beating it on there. I don't know how long it'd last after you beat it on there before it'd be all screwed up and leaking on you again. But see what this looks like when our finished product, huh? Yeah. Now, if I worked on these every single day, I'd probably remember that those long spacers go in there first before I had to take it all back apart again. But you guys know all the stuff I work on. I can't remember what I did last time, but there you go. Put the long spacers. Put the long spacers on the inside of the tool on the stud, then slide the tool on. And you can see it, put it on there nice and flush. All right, so I got new cam followers for the pump, and I'm actually installing those right now. There's a little groove there. You just got to line it up with the little divot that's in the pump housing. And the ruler, the pin kind of likes to come out sideways on you. And you'll know it's all the way in because the cam follower shouldn't turn in there. It's really kind of, I try to keep, I mean, it's kind of hard with all this shit hanging over the top. Take a little brake clean, squirt off this, make sure it's clean. Okay. Now you kind of got to snake this thing back in, and what I think I'm going to do, a little bit of grease right here on the front cover. If I can stick my rag there, and that plunger hits the rag instead of the greasy front cover, maybe I can keep getting any grease on that. Just like that right there, see? Okay, now I can take my rag out. What the hell am I hitting here? Okay. Okay. I gotta get a 12mm. Yeah, I was talking to a guy I had met on YouTube, name's Jim, over there in Pennsylvania, and we've become pretty good friends over the phone. And we was talking, I was telling him about that Ford pickup with the wiper intermittent killing the engine problem, and he'd never heard of that either, but we got to talking about electrical issues, and he's had some weird, it's just amazing the weird shit you run into over the career doing this stuff. Okay, you know what I didn't grab was a paint marker, but so there's 20, there should be 26. I'll just count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. Somewhere I can kind of brace myself here. I had a local farmer here. He had retired and sold most of his equipment. And let's just put it this way: this guy was one of those. Every town, every area has one. You know, you always got a guy that doesn't matter what you do. He knows more than you do, and you're just not smart enough to work on his stuff. And he knows. He's just one of those guys, and he was a know-it-all. Anyway, he had this Agco, what was it, like an 8675 or something like that. It had a little 5.9 Cummins in it, and it had a Funk 18-speed transmission. But anyway, he had problems with the air conditioner, and he had the dealer out there, and I mean, they changed compressor, they changed wiring harness in it, put a new wiring harness in the tractor. They I mean, I don't even know why, but they put like an expansion valve up in the cab and all this shit, and we were renting, that's outfit I was working for was renting ground from him. And I just kind of mentioned it to him. I said, well, you mind if I have a look at it? And, oh hell, nobody can fix this thing. I'm retiring, I'm just gonna sell it. Okay. So anyway, the guy he sold it to, right after he sold it, brought it in to me because the rear main seal went out on it after he started using it. So I split the tractor and put a rear seal in it for him. And Wes, he says, can you fix the air conditioner? I said, sure. Let me take a look at it. So I go over there and I turn the AC on, key on, engine off. I didn't hear the clutch. I didn't hear the clutch on the compressor kick in. Number 4 here. So I checked voltage to the clutch, and I only had like 2.8 volts to the clutch. And I thought, huh, that's kind of odd. So I went back to where the wire harness goes through the bulkhead connector. Like I say, you know, they put a new harness in it, and it was everything was new. So I went back there and looked at the, checked it on the engine side of the bulkhead connector, and I still had 2.8 volts. Then I found the wire on the other side of the bulkhead connector, and I had 2.8 volts. And then I got in the schematic and found where the wire went from there. And I don't know if you guys ever remember the old 1486 International tractors and the 1086s. They had an AC warning light on them. Well, so did this. And so I gotta keep track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 9, 10. I don't think I even got a paint marker with me today. So I traced that wire up there, and it ran right to the AC warning light. And so I checked voltage on one side of the bulb, and I had 2.8 volts. And I had checked voltage on the other side of the bulb, and I had 12 volts. And so I just put a jumper wire around it, and the clutch kicked in and started the tractor up, and it just blew colder than shit, you know. And that's all that was wrong with that. But you know, he had dumped thousands of dollars into that thing, and nobody can fix this. No, they could fix it if you just stay the fuck out of the way. He's one of those guys that when you're working on it, he's got to be right there over your shoulder looking at everything that you do, and you know, nobody knows what they're doing type of guy, you know. Kind of guy you don't want to do any work for. Okay. 10. Okay. Oh, shit. I've had a few things like that. This one outfit I just started recently doing work for, they had quite a few problems like that. The wiper thing I was telling you about, I guess that was one thing that they couldn't figure out, and they'd been through, I'm not trying to brag, you know, there's people miss things, but I just found it was odd that this one place had so many of these issues going on. They had that wiper issue, then they had an old 89 Ford. It was one of their ranch pickups. And that thing, once it'd start fine in the mornings when it was cool, but once it warmed up, the starter would drag real hard. So I looked at it, and the only reason I had one of these do this when I worked for Lassen Canyon. So I was versed in this very well. So I ran the easy way to figure it out is just take your jumper cables and just go from the ground on the battery and just go right to the starter. And if it spins over fast, you know you got a ground problem, because those old Fords like that, they only had one wire going to the starter, and the starter actually grounded through the bell housing. So anyway, I put a ground on the thing. I just got some double aught battery cable and made myself a ground and shit that thing. They've been using it all summer. I don't really enjoy doing shit like this the way I used to, rebuilds and transmission work, and I like the more troubleshooting type shit. To me is what I like to do. I like sitting on I like doing the gravy work, I call it, sitting in a cab with a laptop looking at live data going, oh, okay, well, this is what's wrong with it. I mean, I went out today and did a forced regen on a tractor, and it was a pretty quick 250 bucks, you know? Didn't take long. Okay, I'm pretty certain I got that one. Just check it right quick. I need to go to the, yeah, let's go to this one here. Then I'm gonna go dig around in my truck. I should have a paint marker in there somewhere so I can mark them on the next sequence. It's easy to figure out where you are on the first sequence. If the bolt's loose, you know you haven't hit it yet. So I better go find a paint marker and start marking all these when I torque them, or I'll get screwed up. My wife's always telling me about going to the gym. She likes going to the gym, you know, and working out and trying to stay in shape. I keep telling her, says, just come down here and torque this head on. You'll be in plenty good shape. I don't want to do that. Okay. Now it's pretty easy, just the two on each end. And I just go to this end here. What difference does it make? I'm going to go to the other end. So. Yeah, I went over to that tractor and they had a 6105M and it had, of course, these extreme high soot level on the DPF and engine derate code. So I, you know, cleared the after treatment last error codes and then performed a service regen on it. You know, all these manufacturers, they have a different nomenclature and terminology for everything they do. You know, like Cummins calls it a forced regen, John Deere calls it a service regen, and some of them call them parked regens. It's just, yeah, everybody's got to call it something different. But anyway, I went over there and did a service regen. And I noticed when I got done with it, I checked the codes and it had a water and fuel code. And I looked at Tony there. He said, "What?" The code definition was water and fuel sensor circuit high voltage. And I said, "It's unplugged." And he goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, it's unplugged. High voltage. It's either got a broke wire or it's unplugged." So we looked over there by the deal there, and somebody had changed fuel filters on it. And when they changed the fuel filter, the little rubber that goes around the plug, it just twisted on it, and they just didn't get it plugged in all the way. Okay, so I gotta go find a paint marker, and then go to the next sequence here. So I gotta go to. That was 150 foot-pounds, then I go to 300 with the big torque wrench, and then I go to 90 degrees, and we'll do that with an impact. Couldn't find a paint marker anywhere. I don't know what happened to them. So I'm laying that box of Loctite on the last one that I did, so I know where to go back to. Kind of a chicken shit deal, but it is what it is. Oh, come on. Work with me here. Good grief. Dirty bastard. Get you a little bit more of a scope as to how long the torque wrench is. You guys have never seen a torque wrench like this before. water here in a minute. Getting thirsty. Okay. I gotta get me a drink of water. Alright, so we slid the cam in there and I put the 6-degree timing wedge in the cam just to hold her still for now, and then I put new coppers on the end of the injectors and new O-rings on the injectors, and I put new O-rings on all the feed tubes. I installed the injectors and the feed tubes. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to, I think I got the wrong socket. I don't know why I did that, but I grabbed a 12mm. I should have grabbed a 10. So what you're supposed to do is go 177 inch-pounds on the injector hold down crabs, or clamp, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And then you go out there on the feed tube nuts, you go to 177 inch-pounds. And if you're probably wondering why they don't just cinch one down and then cinch the other down, so you got a hole on one side of that injector there, and that feed tube has to line up with it. So the whole purpose of doing that is kind of doing that preset torque type situation, is to make sure that everything kind of lines up. And I don't do the 177 inch-pounds, I just snug both of them by hand. I just know what it feels like, and then I do the final torque. So the final torque is 59 on the injector hold down and 57 on the feed tube nut. So we'll go ahead and get all these torque. I just like getting the oh, I hit that damn timing wedge and that'll throw your torque off. Let me do it again. Okay, it's there. But I like to get the injectors and just got it, because I'm going home here in a little bit. I just like to get all this kind of stuff in here and get the hole sealed up, you know. I got new rockers too, not new rollers. All right, now the pistons are pretty well sealed up. I always get nervous with the head sitting there and then you don't get to it and something falls down a cylinder or something, and then you go to start it and then it goes bang, 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 and that's always made me extremely nervous about leaving injectors out of holes and things like that. Now feed tubes. So remember, there's a square, there's a flat on the head and a flat on the feed tube, and they line up. Really can't screw it up. 57 on these. I'm gonna have to kind of decide if I want to keep going and try to get the rockers on it tonight, or what I want to do there. Can I get up there? I might need to get that little extension. If I got that little extension, that'd get me out there to where I could work a little more efficiently. Yeah, I got this one. I got to get this one done, and then I got this other one, the cm870, coming in. So I did 3 of them. I need to do number 4. Good way to smack myself in the head. Alright, this one's going to be kind of a pain. Wait a second. That's number 6. So I must have not got this one. Nope, I didn't get this one. Got discombobulated there. Alright, so all the injectors are in it. Really what a guy needs to do next is get the next thing a guy needs to probably do here. I mean, a guy could put the rocker rollers on it, I guess, but probably want to hold off. Probably like to get the gear train on it first before I do that. So you got the covers that go in here, and they got an O-ring that goes up against the head, and then there's going to be an O-ring on the outside diameter that seals it here, and the same thing here. Anyhow, yeah, so I got to do that and just make sure that Allen plug is there. So there's nothing else that's going to be messing me up here. No, we should be fine, okay? Man, when I was a young mechanic, I think I did a big cam 400. First one I ever did. And I forgot, I can't remember what it was. I think I forgot a oil plug or something in between the heads. Fuel, I know they got crossover lines there, but I can't remember. I forgot something in between the heads. I had to tear that whole piece of shit back apart. Oh, what a fucking pain in the ass. So it's nice when you get a single piece head, you know, but if you, say as if you did had an Allen or something that you forgot in here, you'd have to still pull the front cover and all that shit back off of there to put this back in there. So it still wouldn't be very much fun. So anyway, I think that's probably about all I'm gonna do for tonight. It's almost 7 o'clock at night and it's getting darker earlier, so I can get home, see my wifey, see how she's doing, and we'll come back early in the morning and keep hammering away on her. And he's going to show up tomorrow with that Peterbilt that we got to do. Pretty much just pull the front end off. We'll have to pull the valve cover off and put the wedge in the cams. That's a cm870. You know what? I had to borrow. I only got one 6-degree. I got a 6-degree wedge, a 4-degree wedge, and a 7-degree wedge. And I had to borrow somebody else's 6-degree wedge because that truck, I remember I in-framed that truck years ago, and it took a, because that's a dual overhead cam, so that it took a 6-degree wedge on the valve cam, and then on the injector cam it took a 6-degree wedge too. So anyway, alrighty, till next time.